All right, it says we are streaming live on Facebook.
Good morning, beautiful wild women.
Woo! It's Monday.
Monday, and we're gonna talk about legal. I'm gonna stop right there. For all of you watching, for those that do not know, behind the scenes at Wild Women, I sing to Heather.
And I sing to Crystal.
Yeah. And Heather has a very lovely voice. Mine is more, you do. You really have such a gorgeous voice.
If you're about to put yourself down right now, I'm just going to stop you right now.
I wouldn't say down. I'm going to say I have somewhat of an interesting voice that some would not necessarily say, yeah, she can sing. I would not do that as a thing.
It's my favorite. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, beautiful women. This month for July, we are going to be talking about all the legal aspects, well, maybe not all of them, but quite a few legal aspects of your business. As you know, we chatted with Lisa Fraley, I think it was last week.
It was last Tuesday.
It was last Tuesday. And she brought up so many amazing points. And so we're going to be talking about them in this group. And we're also definitely doubling down, so to speak, in the business coven as we also are interviewing and chatting with Lisa there in a Q&A. And one of the things that she brought up when we were talking to her, we thought was so poignant and so just like that wow, or that like, oh yes, why don't we talk about this more, is refund policies. And with that, I don't think they're talked about that much. Like, how often do you really even hear business owners talking about refund policies?
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare. And in fact, when I was setting up my business, then I kept looking at contracts and looking for like refund policies in other people's contracts, trying to find one. And I had such a hard time finding one that I felt like was really solid and good. I think it's something that almost becomes like an afterthought for a lot of businesses, and not only an afterthought, but you don't think about it until it's happening and someone's asking for it, and it's like, oh, I guess I should have figured that out.
Yeah, 100%. It's totally an afterthought. And so Heather and I want to switch that, and we definitely want to shift the conversation to it's actually part of setting up your business to help you feel more confident and to help you stand in your power. And I love that Lisa talked about that, because my experience with refund policies, like Heather, is you don't think about it until it's possibly too late and you're in kind of a crunchy situation with someone. And so we invite you all to think about what is your refund policy, even as you're setting up your business, even if you do not have clients or customers yet, to actually think about this as you're setting up your privacy policies, your disclaimers, everything else. You'd like know what your refund policy is. And here's a couple things that I really want to bring into this topic. That one, if you know your refund policy, and you are very clear in it, and this is not only having a refund policy, this is also something Heather and I have ran into, is know what it is, like always.
Yeah. You gotta know what it is, yeah.
Like be clear in what that is. So if somebody says it, you can say, this is my refund policy. And so part of that confidence, if somebody is saying, is like standing by your product or your service and saying like, yeah, this is my product, this is my service, here's my refund policy. You know, and just being very clear in that interaction, especially those of you that work with clients, this is part of that sales call. And this is part of like saying, so that you are very clear. I think that's part of being in integrity of business, is being very clear in communication and boundaries and, you know, and anything, you know, any interactions you have is like, great, are you ready to move forward? And so there's no like kind of putting it to the side or, you know, forgetting not to talk about something. Like, it's like, okay, then we are on, we both have clarity in where we stand and we're continuing forward. And also with that, I'd say it's like that confidence boost. Like I feel a confidence boost also too, if I know what somebody's refund policy is, it's very clear to me and they're not shying away from it. It's not about like, oh, they're not going to like my stuff. And so like, I totally used to think like this. So I speak from experience. It's like, well, if I had a refund policy, it would mean that like maybe everybody wanted a refund from me. And so that's why I have one, is that like, it was such a, did you experience that at all, Heather?
I don't know if I experienced that. I know that I felt so much better. My first contract that I ever had with a client, I didn't have a refund policy in. And I remember just feeling so kind of on edge the entire time that I was working with them, because it's like I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was like, how it was going to go, especially because with this particular client, things actually did go south. Things did not go well with this client. And we did end up needing to kind of do sort of a refund sort of situation with them, but it was all on the fly because I didn't have a policy. It wasn't in their contract. I was just trying to make them happy so that they would just like leave me alone. At that point, it was not a great situation.
Yeah.
And so moving forward, having that refund policy, like I just, and like, as you were saying, Crystal, like I feel so confident like putting my services out there and basically just saying like, here it is, this is what it is. You know, and then you start off like just feeling so good. So that's kind of, and also I was going to say hello to Heidi Snyder who was watching, and also
Hi, Heidi.
Adele. Morning, Adele.
Hello. Yeah, and I think that, you know what, I love when somebody tells me their refund policy, or like, great, there's a non-refundable deposit, or this is what it is, because then we're very clear and I'm like, wow, they're very confident. Okay, great. Like there's something also that happens energetically between people when there's clarity within that. And also, I would say, go for it.
I just want to say something really quick. I don't know if this is the right time or not, but it's something that I keep thinking about is how often I see people offer like 90-day money back guarantees, or like, you know, 1 week, you know, like I see it so often. And I don't know if this is just me or if this is maybe an experience that's common to everyone, but something about that never like boosts my confidence in purchasing from them. I actually sometimes feel more hesitant to purchase from them. Something about it doesn't always feel quite right to me when I am told that I have, and I'm not saying that you know, you cannot do your business this way. Like whatever feels good to you, whatever feels good for your business, then please do. But I will say that for myself personally, when I see things like non-refundable deposit, or you know, like no refunds after this date, or, you know, whatever it is, I actually feel better about my investment, because I feel like, well, they're confident. They're so confident this is going to work that they're never going to give me any of my money back. And of course, that also goes with the trust of like working with people who, you know, have similar values to mine. And so there is that piece of it. But anyway, I just want to say that because I've been thinking about that a lot this morning, just for some reason, totally randomly. So anyway, continue.
I really like it. I love that too. It's interesting, the psychology of sales. I think that goes along with this, which is something Heather and I also talked about earlier with refund policies. And I know we have some naturopaths in here, we have herbalists, and also coaches. And I would say that your refund policy, and also knowing how to deal with or interact with clients or customers, and knowing that is actually helpful coaching skills. And so knowing their buyer's remorse is real. This is the thing. Buyer's remorse is very real in the health industry. And it's not to say that it's about you or about your product, but let's say somebody, and I've had this happen a few times, is somebody purchases and they're making a big investment in themselves, right? And so like there's a certain amount, and I wrote an email about it the other day, like I spent $20,000 on a coach. And so I nearly like pooped my pants and vomited at the same time when I did that. And I was like, oh, like that excitement. And also that like, there was like definitely some fear that I was like moving through when I did it. And so when people do that, sometimes they'll like do it and they'll be like, you know what, never mind, you know, I can't do it. I realize that I just can't afford it, or I just can't do this. And that is being very clear in that, like, yeah, this is non-refundable. Like, I'm hearing you. And to be able to walk through that refund policy and be able to have those skills, I would highly encourage anybody who's in here who has not had a coach of their own, or any gone to any coaching program, to really get those skills, to really you know, figure that out for yourself, because I don't think they really have them. I've had a lot of herbalists say that, like, I wasn't really trained in that, or doctors say that. And that's where really, I think coaching comes into, is how to help somebody through the process when they have buyer's remorse. That is gold, because that is going to happen. And if you, one, don't know your refund policy, or you have a refund policy and you're like, I totally get it. Okay, never mind. I've seen people do this. It's like, oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay, cool. Like, okay, I totally hear you. Yeah, sure. Bye. Carry on. It's like we're not holding also our client, if you're working with people privately, we're not holding them to what they say they wanted and to be able to walk them through fear. And I see that as the most potent and important part of this job in the healing world, is to hold people accountable to what they say they want. They're coming to us as consultants, as mentors, and as teachers. And as part of that is not to shrink back with them. We have to be a leader for them. And so if we're just allowing somebody, right, to shrink back and say like, you know what though, like I thought about it and it's like, well, that wasn't coming up yesterday. What happened between then and there? And to really know the skills to walk through it is part of that refund policy. We could totally go into a whole thing about that, about like sales calls and about how to handle objections and things. That's like a whole thing that I would love to chat about. But I think that part of that is knowing your refund policy, at least being secure and confident in that.
Yeah, and also making sure that it's legal.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you actually have going on there. Yeah, for sure. Make sure that what you decide to do is legal and is good for you and your business and your product. But have one. Please have one.
Have one. Yeah. So our invitation this week to all of you is check into your contracts. And do you have a refund policy up in your site? Or how do you address that with products? Like, what is that? Do you have it somewhere also people can find, like a back section in your contracts, like we said?
Yeah, to address it up front as they're purchasing so that they're aware, you're aware, everybody feels energetically in sync as you move forward.
Yeah. So go check those this week and see like where, and we'd love to hear what's coming up for you about refund policies. What experiences have you had? I know Heather and I have both had a couple, some where I've been like, I've looked back and be like, oh, I handled that carefully.
Oh yeah.
Not great, not my best. Not my best. And so we don't want to see that happen to you, because it's a loss, not, I would say less financially, but more like in that, in terms of being able to help more people, like if things come up. And so it's part of being able to help more people and to support more people. So check those refund policies out this week.
Go see. And see how they feel for you too personally. Like if you feel like you are holding yourself to a high enough standard, or if you feel like maybe you're playing small in your business with how you have your refund policy. Just something to check into. Just
that little thing. I love how you said that, because it is because I think that sometimes we create, like I have seen that business owners create, and I would say a lot of women create policies based on fear, based on what they think someone else will be comfortable with, rather than being like, no, this is a non-refundable deposit. That's what you need to hold your space. This, after, we've had one session, like, or, whatever it is, like, this is a locked in contract, whatever that might be, like, what is going to work for you, and being in integrity with your values.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, you're so smart, Heather. I love that you bring all these things up.
You're welcome.
So intelligent woman. Well, with that, I want to make sure that we don't have any comments. That Heather,
like we are good on questions for the moment.
Okay.
So in the group, and yeah, let us know.
Okay, blessings, everyone. And we're going to, for those that are in the business coven, we're going to continue this conversation to help you lock in those refund policies. And then we're going to be chatting with Lisa in just like a couple days.
Yes.
Woo! Woo! Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, well, blessings, everyone, on your beautiful week ahead. Mwah!